Before coming here tonight and doing my act in front of strangers, I performed it in front of friends, just to find out what material worked and what didn't. Also, it helped me to get used to performing in front of a live audience. Some of my mates said my delivery needed to be faster and I should get to the punchlines quicker. And some of them said my delivery needed to be slower. One of my mates even suggested I should do my act dressed as a vampire because he thought it'd be really funny. I thought about it and I could have called myself Count Sarcasticular, but it sounds like a really serious illness. I'm sorry to have to tell you this, Mr. Smith, but you have sarcasticular cancer. This is what happens when your friend's senses of humour range from the subtlety of Stuart Lee to the slapstick comedy of Bobo the Clown. I finally decided that my comedic instincts were right and to ignore all their conflicting advice. As you can see, I didn't arrive here tonight dressed as a vampire because I think the material should stand for itself. If you need a gimmick like dressing as a vampire to make it act funny, you've already failed. That's bullshit, by the way. It was a great idea to come here tonight dressed as a vampire and to change my name to Count Sarcasticular. The only reason I didn't do it is because I didn't want to grow my nails really long and shave all my hair off to look like Nosferatu. Or even worse, cover myself in glitter to make myself sparkle. My wife added that last bit because she thought I needed a more up-to-date vampire reference than Nosferatu, and that it would appeal to all the Twilight fans in the audience. I don't know if she realises this, but my audiences aren't exactly full of teenage girls. I've since made a mental note never to listen to my wife, not just about comedy, but in general. I thought about telling a really immature joke and saying, by the way, if there are any teenage girls in the audience, please feel free to come and see me after the show. But I'm not going to do that. After how poor my act has been, it really wouldn't be fair to disappoint them twice in one night. I have had people say to me I should be a preacher, and I do believe all the best stand-up comedians are essentially preachers who have a need to impart knowledge on their audience. And I must admit, there's even been times in my life when I've thought about becoming a priest. But I'm not a religious person, so no matter how hard I've tried over the years, I've just never been able to make myself believe that small children are attractive. If there are any Christians in the audience who found that joke offensive, please feel free to turn the other cheek and forgive me. I'd like to thank the late great Bill Hicks for that joke. I'm sure he wouldn't mind me stealing it, especially as the older I've got, the more I've started to look like him. People often ask me how I got into stand-up, and it was comedians like Bill Hicks and Richard Pryor that got me interested, so I'm happy to follow in their footsteps. In fact, I'm expecting to get pancreatic cancer any day now. Either that or I'll set myself on fire freebasing, or I could just develop a posh Brummie accent, like Stuart Lee. Actually, thinking about it, I think I prefer the pancreatic cancer. And they said you can't do a joke about cancer because no one will laugh. Well, I just did, and you laughed. So hope you're proud of yourselves for laughing at me getting cancer. I thought about saying stomach cancer instead of pancreatic cancer because it's got a much better ring to it. But then I thought, no. If I'm going to steal a dead man's joke, which I have, the least I can do is get his cause of death right. The truth is, I never wanted to be a stand-up comedian. This is just a stepping stone towards my real goal of doing voiceovers for quirky car insurance adverts. Doing stand-up's hard for someone like me. I get so nervous before I come on stage. There's a bucket in the dressing room full to the brim with sick. I wish the management would empty it, to be honest, because it's disgusting. It smells like it's been there for months. It's alright, that joke, isn't it? Misdirecting you into thinking that it was me who'd thrown up. My wife would like that joke. No, honestly, she would. Because even though she hates sick jokes, she absolutely loves jokes about sick. She's weird. Seriously though, I do get really nervous before I come on stage. I'm what's called an introverted extrovert. So while extroverts love to be the centre of attention, at parties, I'm usually the one in a dark corner of the room, trying to be anonymous, while wearing day-glow spandex and riding a rocking horse, shouting, "Look at me, everybody!" But only when I'm sure no one's listening. People say to me doing stand-up must be easy, but it's not. Travelling up and down the country, working in flea pits like this, trying to make people like you laugh. And it certainly ain't no get-rich-quick scheme, that's for sure. Unless you do inoffensive observational comedy that appeals to a mass market, it's always a struggle to attract people to your shows. Despite this, I still prefer to stick to my beliefs of what I think comedy is about, and I'm really not interested in people who enjoy that type of humour coming to my shows. You know the ones I mean, the type of people who think calling the Polar Research Vessel Boaty McBoatface is hilarious. It is hard to find the right balance between sticking to your principles and getting bums on seats. And when I first started out doing stand-up, I think I tried too hard to attract the right type of people to my shows. I once did a gig where only men with small dicks were allowed in, but it was a total washout. I was the only one who turned up. Then I did a gig where only men with large dicks were allowed in. Well, as you can imagine, that was a huge success. The place was packed to the rafters with queues around the block. Unfortunately for them, I didn't turn up. I've since learned from my earlier mistakes. So tonight, for example, I only invited men who ejaculate prematurely to the gig. And I'm really pleased at how many have come. Though I must just point out, some of yous did arrive a bit too early. Since doing stand-up comedy, I have started to get recognised in the street occasionally. Doesn't happen very often, but when it does happen, it's never positive. I never get anyone come up to me and say, "I love your stand-up." Instead, people just come up to me and tell me I'm a sarcastic bastard. A lot. They say things like, "You do realise sarcasm is the lowest form of wit, don't you?" And I reply, when people say sarcasm is the lowest form of wit, you do realise they're being sarcastic, don't you? I don't go up to people in the street and say, "Excuse me, but you do realise walking is the slowest form of running, don't you?" Actually, I do go up to people and say things like that. And the reason I say things like that is because I am a sarcastic bastard. So it turns out, people's perceptions of you are usually right. That's your lot, folks.